welcome back. I know it has been a while, so I'm so happy to be with you guys again. Welcome back to the Working Class Gamer Podcast, episode number 8. I know it's been a while, and I've got good reason for it. I've been really contemplating the format of this show and just content that I want to do overall on this channel and how I want to deliver it. And I really do enjoy this podcast. I enjoy recording. I enjoy just the entire production process. And I also just enjoy being able to choose the content that I'm going to speak about. That's probably my favorite part. I'm not really a journalist, so I'm not really trying to do the hardcore news thing. Some things do kind of demand my opinion and my input, but most things I feel like don't, unless I think that they are relevant to you guys. And I really just want to talk mainly about things that are relevant to me, or news that just interests me as it happens. So, but I feel that the WCGP is moving into a gameplay podcast format because I record a lot of gameplay and I just right now don't have the time to shoot individualized videos on those games because I'm not as passionate about each game as I am about another game, right? So, but I have so much great footage from the titles that I play week to week. It's just something I enjoy doing. I enjoy it. It kind of helps me keep stock of what I'm going to speak about and how I'm going to speak about it, frankly. So with that in mind, this episode is kind of going to be an experiment in moving into that. And each episode is an experiment, and I always contemplate whether or not I'm going to speak to it live on the broadcast about that. But I mean, you guys are along with me for this ride, so I don't feel like I'm above explaining just where my head is at creatively. I hope you guys are well. Now, as you know, we normally do, a what I've been playing sort of thing. And if it leads into the main topic, then it does. Today, it definitely does. So I'm not going to start with what I've been playing. We're going to talk about that a little later. First of all, I want to say thank you guys so much, all of my subscribers, all 100 and something of you, and any new subscribers, any new viewers today. I really appreciate you. Everybody who watches the pod, some people I get to talk to about it in real life, you know what I'm saying? And so I just appreciate all of you. Whether you watch for 5 minutes or the entire 2 hours, you are much appreciated. And I'm really trying to I keep saying this, but I am trying to manufacture a space for the gamer that has just been underrepresented for the better part of the last, I don't know, decade and a half, really, if not the entirety of gaming existing. So, yeah. With that in mind, though, and I'm looking at the webpage of the first game I want to talk about today before we get into the meat and potatoes. And I gotta say, it's just so exciting to even be talking about this. And I'm talking about South of Midnight. South of Midnight is an upcoming, I don't know if it's timed or just guaranteed, but it's an upcoming exclusive game for the Xbox Series S and X next year in 2025 and PC. And it is a third-person action-adventure game from Compulsion Games that explores the Deep South mythos and confronts mysterious creatures in a folktale for modern times. And I'm reading straight from the website, and I'll definitely put some pictures in this episode, and I don't know if I'm going to download their footage from YouTube, but I'll put some photos that I can. I'm really, 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 really excited for this game. And the reason I'm talking about it on this episode is because Compulsion kind of offered our first real look at the game. There was a trailer earlier in the year, less than 2 minutes long. Really great, though. The game stuck with me from the moment that I saw it. And if you're looking at the pictures, it's obvious why. But they released a 30 to 35 minute documentary on Xbox's channel and on Compulsion Games channel on YouTube. You can check that out. I'm going to link it in the description. But they did a documentary just kind of taking us through some of the people behind the game, their inspirations for the game, where they're pulling from music-wise, gameplay-wise, environment-wise, all that sort of stuff. And it just is I've said this before. I really enjoy the marketing aspect of video games because I feel like that's an opportunity to lean into other mediums to showcase what is going on in this very new but very um, complex medium of art or video games, right? But I love when we lean into the musical aspect, or we lean into the fashion aspect, or because there have been some collabs we've seen for tennis shoes and stuff like that, like official collaborations that have been fantastic. But I especially love when people lean into filmmaking to represent their work of art, their video game. And I love a good documentary. I love a good 30-minute like developer diary type of situation. Bungie for the longest time was the best at giving you a 15 to 30-minute VDoc is what they called it. And it would just nobody did it like them. But this is and Xbox, their exclusive games, the documentaries they've released thus far this year have been pretty good. I'm thinking of Stalker 2's documentary. And that game being made in Ukraine and the war going on, that made for very interesting content. But to see how it affects the passion of the developers and how it drives them is the most interesting part to me. And this game in particular, I feel like for a certain for all gamers, but especially a certain demographic, this is what Forspoken should have been, in my opinion. A game that I do love, and we'll talk a little bit about later. Well, I don't love it, but I respect its existence and I enjoy it. But this feels like it's firing on all cylinders. By the way, I've seen certain publications do a like, hey, we've played it, and they just kind of broke down the documentary that we all saw, and I really don't appreciate dishonest games journalism. If you know me, you know I don't appreciate dishonest games journalism. I'm not going to name the channel. It's a larger channel. I have given them props before, and I really didn't like seeing that around this game because I clicked that video. Obviously, if you played it, I want to hear about it. And you say at the beginning of the video, we didn't play it. That was a misnomer. You have a large platform. You're not like me. It's not like you're BSing to get clicks to climb the ladder. You are up on the ladder. So that was kind of lame. Anyway, I'm obviously hyped for this game because of the main character. The girl, what's her name? Because just in what they have chosen for her specific narrative, as far as her powers and the world she's in and all that sort of stuff, like it's very interesting to me. Hold on, where's her name? Her name is Hazel. You play as Hazel, and you'll explore the mythos and encounter creatures of Southern folklore in a macabre and fantastical world. When disaster strikes her hometown, Hazel is called to become a weaver, a magical mender of broken bonds and spirits. Imbued with these new abilities, Hazel will confront and subdue dangerous creatures, untangle the webs of her own family's shared past, and, if she's lucky, find her way to a place that feels like home. I listened to some of the developers in that documentary, kind of not they weren't dancing around it, and it wasn't just, how do I say this? Like that right there, the idea of shared experiences across generations, and that she is almost an arbiter of those experiences. That is really exciting to me. Like, number one, me being born and raised in the Deep South, and then to see a game and its visual representation of the Deep South, and like even the choice of taking place in the swamps of Louisiana, in your own made up area of Louisiana. It's a hurricane that comes through. I where did I read it? I'm trying to find it. There's a certain blurb that I read on here about how it's a hurricane that comes through Prosperos. That's the name of the town. And you know, she is a weaver, again, like they were saying, and she is experiencing the things that she's experiencing is kind of unique to her, right? Like it's her power that allows her to interact with these creatures and free some of these souls from the trauma that binds them. And a lot of this energy is brought up into her reality because of a hurricane that comes through. So very deliberate storytelling choices, in my opinion. And this could go badly, but it seems genuine to me. It seems like it's going to work. And I'm just like really excited to see how it all comes together, especially when you weave but when you weave the narrative into the gameplay. Like I think of Black Myth Wukong's choice of kind of like, yeah, okay, the narrative of the Monkey King is he holds this staff. He's always had this staff. So this is not someone who works with sword and shield. This is someone of great athleticism and does great feats. So our main gameplay mechanic for avoiding damage is dodging. There's no other way. There's ways to parry, but there's no way to block. You either move out of the way or you finesse your way into another attack to keep the opposition on their toes. The idea of, and I can take it even further. The Space Marines, who are these massive physical presences who have very physical moves to take, who power through their enemies, and it manifests itself in your controller, in your input, in the rhythm of the game. I think the best games take care of both, and they do it at once. They take care of the narrative and they take care of the gameplay at once. And if your gameplay relies on the strength of your narrative, I feel like when you execute, it's something really special happens, which is why I'm so excited. It's not just the representation, even though I did write that in all caps on my outline. It's not just the representation. It is, for me at least, it is like the gameplay that we're going to be able to experience, and where it takes place. It's got a stop motion style. Let's go down to the art direction. Continuing compulsion signature direction. Characters and shapes are more distinct, handcrafted, and enhanced by stop motion animation treatment. Within its fantastical Deep South elements is a world of overabundant nature, magical realism, and creatures that honor Southern Gothic folklore. The frame narrative. South of Midnight's narrative lies within a storybook presentation that advances throughout the game. Like opening a book and closing it when finished, every chapter is guided by a dynamic narrator. That's something I'm really excited about too. And some of the gameplay that we have seen, you've got the catfish kind of narrating what's going on and what you got to go do, the big catfish that you see her riding on. If they have somebody uniquely narrating each chapter, that would be really interesting. I'd love to see that. Again, Black Myth Wukong did a little bit of that, and I hate to keep talking about that game every episode, but it just has set a new bar for me, action game wise. Again, this is to be released in 2025. This is a Xbox Series S and X exclusive, also coming to Steam. Will probably be day one on Game Pass Ultimate, but in the same way that I spent $69.99 on Forspoken simply for the character they decided to put on the cover, I will be spending $69.99, $59, $79, whatever. I hope there's some special editions that we can pre-order, because I would like to buy a piece of this history that is being made in real time. Again, like one of my main issues with how Forspoken was received is that nobody spoke to the fact that like this is the audience that this game is for has never got a game like this. I mean, it's an isekai story. We love those, but it's one of those, like, because of the character that they have at the center, it gives a new generation of gamers the opportunity to see themselves in a different way and interact with what they may be going through in a different way because of the interactivity of video games. South of Midnight is no different for me personally. And I have to applaud Compulsion Games, whether these were new people on the team. Well, they did say that they hired some people on. They have hired new people on. They've hired consultants on. They've hired people they wanted to make sure that they had writers and developers on the team who understand the area in which this game will take place. I.e., there are like 4 different black women that pop up throughout the documentary. And I know that's 4 in a documentary, a 30-minute documentary, but it was great to see women who look like the women that I grew up with, you know what I'm saying? People that I like enjoyed storytelling with, to be behind the scenes. Again, I watch a lot of video game documentaries, and it's really cool to see the people of Ukraine so dedicated to the product they're trying to make, that is Stalker 2. Well, the work of art, excuse me, that is Stalker 2, even though I know it is a product for Microsoft. But to see the passion that is born out of developing that type of game in your homeland in the midst of what is going on, I think to pull from the vibrations that come from artists who are from the South and use that to create something new is very exciting. And it was good to see those ladies behind the scenes, the actresses, the voice talent. It was good to hear from them and know that there is talent behind the screen from my community. Frankly, that was really cool to see. And I will always highlight these types of games as they release on this platform. I will always highlight them. I think that's the only way that they do better, is if more people talk about them. We are not going to speak to any opposition that may come this game's way. That's not the plan. I'm going to start practicing what I preach, which is no signal boosting to anybody that has anything silly to say about a video game like this or any other video game. We're not digging into that. This is just really exciting to me. I think it was worth sharing with you all. Look into it. Watch that documentary. It's awesome. I said I had to get an Xbox for Stalker 2, and I definitely am going to make sure I have an Xbox for this, and I'll definitely have an Xbox by the time this comes out. But yeah. Anyway, continuing on. Hold on a second. Cuz well, you know what? I'll change that up later. Continuing on though. So the PS5 Pro. First of all, my library is growing. The title is the title for a reason. I am not immune to being phony sometimes, okay? I'm not immune to it. It's always a very mild case of me being phony, okay? I'm not like a bad friend. I'm not someone you can't trust. But I may say, I don't think the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster is of interest to me. And then maybe a few episodes later, things might look like this. Listen, I was wrong. I'm willing to admit I was wrong about something I didn't even give a real shot. First of all, before I get into my PS5 Pro Deep Dive that will bring me back to Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. And let me bring out what have been my favorite PS5 Pro experiences. And I'm not really going to count this Call of Duty, but we're going to do them in alphabetical order. How about that? After I talk about the main ones. But before I get into my PS5 Pro Deep Dive, I got to give a shout out to the cloud. I have to give a shout out to PlayStation Plus. I told you guys a few episodes ago or whenever, I think it was that one PS5 Pro stream when it was revealed, and they also revealed that Horizon Remastered was coming. That State of Play stream I did. Oh, that was a podcast episode. Anyway, I told you guys a roommate of mine gave me that game, and I was just like, I'm kind of not feeling it. I was also playing Assassin's Creed Origins for the first time when she gave me that game. So, just let me borrow. But it was just like, I can't leave this. I'm in ancient Egypt cosplaying as Moses. I can't leave this right now. This is not holding me. I got bow and arrows over here. I got amazing vistas over here. The pyramids, camels, horses, and I bought a premium skin. I'm good over here. I'm not really interested in this like futuristic tribalism they've got going on in Horizon. And I still do have like some issues with it. But yeah, that 2 hours that I did give that game somehow ended up in the cloud. I guess my membership was active at the time because, in PlayStation, your saves are not in the cloud unless that membership is active. So my membership must have been active at the time that I was playing it, because I went and looked and I found my save. Now, I do have to play Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered because I found my save. I have to play it on my older profile, not my Director Warren profile, so that kind of sucks. But I was able to recover that PS4 save and picked up right where I left off after I installed this game. Number one. So that was amazing. That was super dope. But that really helped me get back into this game. But I have to give a shout out to the cloud. Like, I really appreciate the cloud. I hope the cloud never comes down. So let's get into the PlayStation 5 Pro, shall we? Let's get into what it is. I wish I knew how much time it was because I can only see the bar count on here. I'm gonna give it like 20 more minutes, and then double check myself. So here's the thing. I wrote that I needed to look up the definition of niche. Hold on. Okay. A comfortable or suitable position in life or employment. Okay, hold on. That's not what I was looking for. A specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of product or service. That is the definition I was looking for. That is the second definition of niche. He believes he has found a niche in the market, right? Okay, that I want you guys to hear that word. It has to do with a very specific part of the market, right? Let me read it one more time so I can stay on track. A specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of product or service. I want that to be the umbrella with which we have this conversation about the PlayStation 5 Professional, because that is it exists for a niche market. We're going to start there. The PS5 Pro is not necessary to have a good time on the PlayStation platform. The PlayStation 5 base console is one of the best consoles ever made. It will go down in history as one of the best consoles ever made. By the way, this is not a PlayStation podcast. It's just where I'm gaming right now, okay? We're going to get to Xbox stuff next episode, I promise. But it is going to go down, and Series X as well. Those are, I think they have killed the PS4 and Xbox One generation in terms of just like consoles that are actually showing you something. It took a while before we saw something real from the PS4 and Xbox One. So yeah. Anywho, that base console is good. By the way, they've dropped the price. I also said this on that little State of Play stream that I did, or the PS5 Pro reveal stream, one of them. I said this. This is good. The PS5 Pro is good for the market. They're going to lower the price of the base model. At the very least, it's good for the market because used PS5s at GameStop and everywhere else are just going to be way more available because people are going to be trading in their PS5s to get a Pro if they want one, right? And are getting a pretty decent amount. And I hate to cape for the company that I work for, but we are giving out a pretty good amount for PS5s right now. So you got that. That's good for the market. But they are, I speculated that they were going to lower the price. Here we are. Today is November 16th. And they are lowering the price of the digital PS5 down to $379. The price is going to start at $379 for the PlayStation 5. So the Pro helped out everybody who feels like they can't afford a Pro or they don't want to get one or whatever. If you still don't have a PlayStation 5, now this holiday is going to be the best holiday thus far to buy a PS5. This is the best price drop we've seen. We've seen $399 a couple times this year for the digital. We're seeing $379. I think that's just to be noted. I think that's a great deal for people who still don't have one. For the youngins, the 11-year-olds that have turned 12 this past year, and now they're kind of old enough to get a new console in their parents' eyes. I think this is a great time to get them one. Not to be a consumerist, but I gotta note the price. So this exists at $699 for a niche part of the market, and I wrote down that the TV or monitor that you play on, like it does matter. If you want to maximize the horsepower of your PS5 Pro, it matters what screen you're going to be playing playing your games on. I play on an OLED. I play on an LG C2, one of the best TVs on the market still to this day. We're on the C4, and it's still one of the better TVs out. The newer ones just might be a smidge bright, even though I got the same Evo technology. They might be a smidge brighter, but there's nothing like an LG OLED. You know what I'm saying? The only way to go better is to get a bigger one. This is a 48-inch. I sit about 3 feet from this TV when I play, and my glasses on, my blue light glasses, and I have a good time. But it does matter. I've been enjoying my PlayStation 5 mostly because of the technology that this TV has, which is you got the OLED screen, number one, but then you also have the 4K 120 hertz refresh rate, or 120 frames a second. The HDMI 2.1 technology is very important. If you cannot in an OLED, this was $1,200 when I got it. It retails still for like $998 now, the 48 inch. So you'll probably be able to get one around $750. The C2, you should be able to get a $750 C2 brand new or refurbished this Black Friday season, right? But if you can't go that high up, at least make sure that the television has HDMI 2.1 technology. That's going to allow you to enjoy variable refresh rate, and that's going to allow you to enjoy these higher frame rates of a multitude of games that were out before we had the PS5 Pro. But OLED or micro LED are going to be the best types of panels for you to really get the fullness of the HDR color age that we live in. So with that said, if you're playing on a 1080p monitor, you were already able, like if the game was going to up to 120, which Call of Duty was going up 1080p 120 before the PS5 Pro, you was good to go already. You know what I'm saying? You don't need a PS5 Pro if you're gaming 1080p, which is fine. You don't need a PS5 Pro. If you have a 4K monitor but you top out at 60 hertz, you really don't need a PS5 Pro, because if you got a 4K monitor or TV that doesn't do more than 60 frames a second, then it doesn't even have the screen technology. Your pixels aren't as good as somebody else's HDMI 2.1 TV, and that's just facts. You know what I'm saying? That's no disrespect. So don't upgrade. If you are somebody who has an OLED, Sony, LG, Vizio, TCL with their micro LED TV, the micro LED technology is amazing and is slept on. And this is not a audio visual channel, but I could go on for days about how neck and neck my good micro LED is with OLED, right? If you got something like that and you got a PlayStation 5, I say trade it in and get you a PS5 Pro. This is one of the best console experiences that I've had in the last 2 weeks. There's a marginal difference out of the box, period. This is the Working Class Gamer Podcast. We speak to value. We speak truth to power sometimes. I'm telling you the truth when I say it's a marginal difference. I did my base PS5 in there, and I had my in my bedroom, and then I had my PS5 Pro in here, and I had Black Myth Wukong pulled up. That was my first test, and I'll get to that in a second. But I did side by sides on the games, just to see, because when I pulled it out of the box and started playing Spider-Man 2, I saw immediately a marginal difference. I don't like, it doesn't bother me if a game has a base resolution of 1200p upscaled to whatever. That doesn't bother me. I'm not pixel peeping or whatever. I just do like a good, clean, high quality image. I don't think that that's too much to ask, right? I can tell. I look at pictures all day. I edit these videos. I can see the difference. It doesn't bother me, but I can see the difference when there's a difference to be seen, and I know what I'm seeing, right? So again, it is a 400 to 700. You're getting that $300. You're getting that $300 boost. You're getting more than a $300 boost, in my opinion. As somebody who's been a home console gamer pretty much his entire life, this is one of those times where I do feel like I'm getting the value of the product I'm spending my money on, like, tremendously. Like, the ROI on this $6.99 is working out pretty good for me as a gamer. And there's no better examples than the games that I'm playing. Before I get into you know what? I'll start with Wukong really quick, because there's not much to say about that. Black Myth Wukong, which, by the way, that disc is coming out December 12th. But Black Myth Wukong does not have a PS5 Pro enhanced patch yet, number one. So let's start there. No patch at all. I spent 76 hours in Black Myth Wukong on the base PS5 playing in resolution mode. I never played a lick. I played 2 minutes in performance mode before I swapped back to resolution, because that performance mode is just like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It is way too soft. I'd rather experience the effects than a faster frame rate, because once I figure the combat, the frame time is so good on that game that, like, it's kind of like Cyberpunk 2077 in that you're not really missing out on any sort of advantage by not playing in 60 frames a second. And I don't mind a cinematic experience, even in an action game. But I played in 4K 30. So when I loaded up Black Myth Wukong on my PS5 Pro, and it was still in a 60 hertz container. When you hit the settings button, it tells you what container the game is being emitted in. It'll either be 60 hertz or 120 or 119 sometimes, or you'll see 59 or 58. It was on a lock 60, and so I was playing, and I felt like I was playing 60 frames a second. Like I could tell, like spinning around, like it was, and I was like, okay, this doesn't have a patch. And then the next game I'm going to talk about, that was the one where I was like, okay, it is a marginal difference. And I played this after that. And I was like, this doesn't have a patch. Maybe my eyes are just used to going kind of smooth, frame rate, whatever. Plugged in my base PS5. It felt sluggish going back from Wukong on Pro to Wukong on base. Resolution mode, 30 FPS. So that's an uncapped frame rate. You can go watch Digital Foundry videos to know that I'm not BSing. They said it's got an uncapped frame rate. It just hovers around 30. Now I recorded about a minute of footage, and this footage was from like a small cutscene sequence in the middle of a boss fight, and I counted those frames, and I counted out about 45 frames. So I'd say the PS5 Pro without a patch is boosting that resolution mode up to about 45 frames a second. If you've been playing a game for 70 something hours at 30 frames a second, you are going to feel the difference when you're playing it in 45. That like 50% boost is going to be felt. I'm very curious to see what their patch is going to do to Wukong. I don't know how long it's going to take. We're getting that disc now, and I can tell what their priorities are, so I think we'll get that patch in the early spring. Before spring is over with, or they may wait until they have DLC. They may wait until they have DLC. I was just snapping at my dog because he's looking at me. Go ahead. Like they're gonna have an Erd Tree style DLC sometime next year. That's the rumor. So maybe they wait for the patch until then because they really don't need it. In my opinion, the resolution mode was great. If you got to play in performance mode, that's you. But they made a game of the year contender as is. So if they take their time on the patch, I'm cool with it. But I'm very excited to see what that patch does for this game, especially after seeing Digital Foundry's video where they kind of built a PC with similar specs to Black Myth Wukong and scaled the graphics effects to Wukong to console Wukong just to show us what we might be getting. So if I get a 4K at locked 60 currently, that would be great. If we get a performance mode that has the resolution of the current graphics mode, quality mode, if we get a quality mode at 60 FPS and then a new 4K 30 mode that just has even more effects with an unlocked frame rate, I'd be down for that too. But I would love to play at 4K 60. Black Myth Wukong, that would be the minimum. That would be a minimum requirement for my PS5 Pro patch. If you do it, that would make Stalin happy. But if you can do some more, because what I've seen tells me that there is, we just really got to the place with the PS5 like last year with Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2, where we were seeing the PS5 get pushed, not necessarily to its limits. I don't think the PS5 got pushed to its limits until you played Wukong. Anybody who has fought the Yellow Loang or done any like major boss fight, lengthy boss fight, you know that your that game is like the Red Dead Redemption 2 of the PS5 generation. You guys remember what RDR2 was doing to the PS4? That's where the jet engine descriptors started coming in. So we're just starting to see games really pull from the PS5 and what it can do. And the Pro seems to raise the ceiling like significantly higher in the graphics department. I know the CPU is not more than what it was, and I don't know why anybody expected it to be, because that's where the real value is the processing power, right? But the amount of extra horsepower they've given it strict around graphics processing is we're going to be able to see the developers are going to be able to give us even more in their games. That just point blank period. And the next game I want to talk about is the one for me, besides the game that proves how phony I am a little bit. This game for me is the killer app. Now, Horizon Forbidden West. I don't have it on here, so I'm not going to speak to it for too long because I started it on PS5 Pro after that. I saw the Pro update happen, and I started playing. I played for literally 2 minutes, and I turned it off. And that was the main reason why I had to get Zero Dawn Remastered, because I was like, okay, I can't do this. I can't play this game. I'm like 7 hours into that game, 7 or 8 hours into Forbidden West, and it's a thick game, so I haven't really done anything story-wise. I'm like, I can't play this game and not really know the story of Horizon. I haven't been introduced to some of these characters. Like, YouTube videos aren't going to do it justice. I might as well just go back and play Zero Dawn Remastered. And because I saw how beautiful Forbidden West was. And there are people with gameplay videos already. Go to Digital Foundry to check them out. They're the only channel I will ever shout out, because I will be posting PS5 Pro gameplay all week. But Forbidden West is the best looking console game money can buy. It is Forbidden West. But in my opinion, the killer app for the PS5 and the PS5 Pro specifically is Spider-Man 2. Only because of what Spider-Man means to Sony. But Forbidden West is the best looking game. I've seen it for 0.2 seconds. I didn't record anything. I was playing in 4K 30 or the balance mode, maybe the 40 FPS mode. It is insane. Horizon Zero Dawn is a remaster. We're going to get to that later. But Forbidden West, the one that was built for the PS5, it looks insane. And Sony really they have a few titles now that are among the best looking games on the market. And, salute to them for having that W, having that bullet point on their resume this generation. But Spider-Man 2 is the killer app. Now, I'm recording this broadcast in 4K, 30 frames a second. So even some of my footage that's been recorded at 60 frames a second, it's going to be in this 30 FPS container, so you're not going to be able to see the smoothness all the way. And I'm also locking it to 30 FPS because I'm going to slow it down in some instances so you guys can really see frame by frame like how gorgeous it is. And we'll get to that. You'll probably see that on another game later on in the broadcast. Spider-Man 2, though. Listen, I know there are a lot of people that are just obsessed with playing at the highest possible frame rate, and I totally understand it. I get it. Oh my God, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. We'll get into it. I get it. Certain games though, I want as much fidelity as possible. I need as much as you can possibly give me. Some games are worth the trade-off. It's worth the extra layers of detail for the sake of immersion versus because again, frame time, if there's no input lag, I don't care if I'm playing in 35 frames a second, 40 frames a second. I don't care. It doesn't bother me if as long as my inputs are being felt. So I didn't go straight to the performance pro mode on Spider-Man 2. Now, Spider-Man Remastered has been updated as well, and Miles Morales, and they're in the same league graphically. Spider-Man 2 is a step up. It's PS5 only. Miles Morales and Spider-Man Remastered are a step down, just a step down, because their pro mode just gives you just the max frame rate. There is no Fidelity Pro. That is, as far as Insomniac is concerned, that's exclusive to Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and Spider-Man 2, which I guess are built on the same engine or whatever. Fidelity Pro is incredible. It's incredible. Number one, you're getting a full 4K, I guess native. I'm pretty sure it's native 4K, right? If you've got that 120 hertz monitor, if you're using a television or monitor with HDMI 2.1 technology, then you're getting VRR. So your frame rate is being pushed beyond 30. It's somewhere around 40. I didn't count the frames. I'm just going based off of feeling. It's somewhere around 40 to 45. And maybe even closer to 60, because when I'm looking at it, it looks 60, and I've got a really good eye for what I'm seeing. I replayed the first 20 minutes of that game. I started New Game Plus when I got my PS5 Pro because I'd beaten it on base PS5, so I started New Game Plus, and I did that opening 20 minutes, which is still one of gaming's best opening 20 minutes in any video game. And I know that people have their problems with Spider-Man 2, but I gotta commend Insomniac, for just giving us a banger of an opening to a banger of a video game. There are some moments in that game that are like boring that I'm not looking forward to replaying again or whatever. But that opening, like, never has a game, besides maybe Wukong, because Wukong has a similar opening. Never has a game truly showcased the power of the machine that it's being played on better than Spider-Man 2. And there are moments in Spider-Man 1 that do that for PS4, but they don't come till about midway. Spider-Man 2 comes out the gate with this insane Sandman sequence. Miles Morales being thrown through the air. Creating a web to catch himself and then slingshotting back across the city to get back to Sandman. And then towards the end of that fight where Sandman just creates this storm and you're wingsuiting across the bay to get to him, and the sky goes from clearer to just heavier with the sand the closer you get to him. Just an incredible amount of effects, incredible work, incredible staging and direction of that entire sequence. It just, and a great introduction to the Peter Miles dynamic that you're going to find in Spider-Man 2. It was awesome. It was truly awesome on the PS5 Pro. And this was part of my beef with them for the reveal of the PS5 Pro. I know because of what I've seen on the base model that what we're seeing in this stream is not at all indicative of what we're truly going to get from the Pro. And we have reached that point to where most people who are capturing gameplay are not able to fully maximize the console that they're playing on. I'm one of them. This video is not in 4K 60 because my camera it cannot do 4K 60. It's a large sensor camera. It's a cinema size sensor. It can't do 4K 60. The newest version can. So pray that I can, trade up. But my Elgato, I have the HD60X, which does 1080p 120, 1440p 60, 4K 30. So while I can play in the 4K with VRR on, it can only record a 30 FPS video. So I understood at the time why they might not be going out of their way. It was just weird when the state of play ended up being in a perfect 4K stream, but that PS5 Pro reveal was so muddy. And maybe it was intentionally muddy. But what I saw out of Spider-Man 2 was truly incredible, just from a technical standpoint. The ray tracing, like every effect that already exists in fidelity mode has been boosted. It's been boosted. It's native 4K. Let's start there. Native 4K. Then you have enhanced ray tracing effects, new ray tracing effects that didn't exist in the last fidelity iteration, and an uncapped frame rate because of VRR technology. So you're getting it just was a 5-star experience, that little 25 minutes that I played. And that's all I played on my PS5 Pro. Simply because of the game that I'm playing right now. I haven't got back around to it. But that Spider-Man 2, that's Sony's killer app. And I wish there's no point in doing a Spider-Man 2 PS5 Pro bundle or something, but I just need people to know and understand that there are games that day one, when you boot up your PS5 Pro and you download games that you probably already have in your library, there are games that are going to knock your socks off when you start playing them. Somebody called me a PS5 shill one time, or Sony shill, and it was just like, bro, my account is not nearly big enough for me to be a Sony shill. So if I sound like I'm just caping for Sony or PlayStation, I'm not. The PS5 Pro is a real deal. And I'm on record as to saying the Xbox Series X is the most powerful console you can buy right now. That is no longer the case. Obviously, the Pro has to be better than a base 4K system, but it is. I'm not going to be unfair. I have to give it its flowers. So Spider-Man 2 is amazing. Talked about Wukong. This, I don't think that I'm phony for. This next point, I don't think I'm phony for it, but I got to let y'all know I gave up on Dragon Age for now. I'll come back when it's on sale. I just got it's not boring. It just really didn't the game I'm playing right now is proof that the days of a game taking 8 hours to really open up or just sink its teeth into you, those days are over. Okay? Those days are over. We shouldn't have been having that to begin with. And the only game I've ever played in my lifetime that really got that off successfully was Assassin's Creed 3, because you were playing as somebody's dad for the first 5-6 hours of the game. It was like 4 or 5 hours before you actually saw the title Assassin's Creed 3. I think it's like that's their longest intro for sure. And they tend to have long intros, but that's their longest intro. So yeah, man. 8 hours in, bro, like it's just again, and I was playing on hard, and maybe I should have lowered the difficulty because I wasn't having a hard time. It was just like I don't feel powerful. Like I've been playing too long and I still don't feel like, I feel like I'm still having to really work to get rid of like a basic enemy, and I'm finding the flow of the combat, but it's like And I didn't realize that I was playing the PS5 Pro version. That's a horrible, and you're gonna see that there are some there are some PS5 Pro enhanced games that just ain't really hitting like that. It's like, this is your Pro enhancement, BioWare. This is what y'all gave us. And I don't want to be the one to diss on BioWare, because I meant everything I said last episode about what's going on in Dragon Age. It just isn't holding my attention right now. There was another shiny game over somewhere else, and my ADHD got the best of me, and now I'm like locked in on this game. So I'll get back to Dragon Age at some point. Salute though. If you're looking for fantasy, that's the one. If you're looking for a fantasy, if you're looking to put yourself in a fantasy adventure, that is the one for that. It's just not the experience I want right now. Same way I feel about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I will get to that. I've been seeing people's videos. I've been seeing the commentary. The PS5 Pro is that might be the killer app of the PS5 Pro. For me, it's Spider-Man 2 right now, but I haven't played Rebirth. I will play Rebirth eventually. It's something about that game, bro. But maybe I'll have a Horizon Zero Dawn moment with Final Fantasy. I don't know. But I just had to throw that out there. Dragon Age, it just didn't hold me. I don't want to call it a disappointment. It just didn't hold me. Next game. Dragon's Dogma 2. I wrote, Dragon's Dogma 2 is amazing. And it always was. It always was. I know it was rough on console, and I don't know, y'all's rough is not my rough. Like, the things that y'all say are rough don't be rough for me. Maybe it's because I don't come from privilege, but I don't know. Like, Cyberpunk was rough. I was playing that on an Xbox One X day one. That was a rough experience. It was a tough that console, which is a top 3, top 5 console. By the way, the One X, but it was struggling to keep it at 30 frames a second. When you drove in the open world, like when you got in your car, you couldn't go more than 60 miles an hour, because then the game literally starts buffering. Okay, and y'all know how much I love Cyberpunk, but I got to be for real about them first month. Dragon's Dogma 2 was not as rough as y'all say it was, as y'all say it is or was when it first launched, especially with all the patches they dropped since from March up until now. Like, that game really by June was like, all right, good to go. Whatever issues y'all say it was having, they were addressed by June. The PS5 Pro update though is another one of those. It's not necessarily a killer app, but it is what part of what they need to be advertising. And I say that because Dragon's Dogma 2. So the PS5 Pro is built off of 3 pillars, right? Enhanced ray tracing, a larger GPU, and AI upscaling, the PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution technology. So if Wukong with its boosted frame rate without a patch is an example of just that extra GPU horsepower, and if Spider-Man 2 is really the marriage of, because the performance mode is where that AI is used. If the Spider-Man 2 Fidelity Pro experience is the marriage of the extra GPU horsepower and the enhanced ray tracing capabilities, Dragon's Dogma 2 is the best example of using all 3 pillars of the PS5 Pro at once. Because you have boosted graphics, right? You got boosted fidelity. You've got better ray tracing, which is just for Dragon's Dogma 2 is really just the shadows and the lighting, the global illumination, pretty much, I think. Not a lot of reflections in that game. But ray trace shadows is what you're getting, I want to say, in Dragon's Dogma 2. And that's just from a layman's point of view. I haven't really analyzed it, but it doesn't have reflections going on. It's mostly just like the shadows and the ambient occlusion and all that. Anyway, that stuff, but in combination with the PSSR, and you got a choice of prioritizing graphics for PSSR, prioritizing resolution, I think, or prioritizing performance. I chose to prioritize resolution. My settings were I was on prioritized graphics with an unlocked frame rate. I think I put it on, or variable frame rate is what they call it. And then I had my PSSR turned to prioritize graphics, and my ray tracing was turned on. I played this game. I recorded this game at 60 frames a second because it was playing at 60 frames a second. I know because of how the HD 60X, the Elgato capture card I use, I know because of how it reacted to me playing that game on base PS5 that it's now emitting at a base 1440p. It used to be a base 1080p when you were running in variable refresh rate mode with ray tracing turned on. It was running at 1080p. Now it's running at 1440p at least, maybe higher than that with the PSSR. Maybe you take going from 1440p and being upscaled, right? But the resolution, like that, I noticed it was one of those games. As soon as I booted it up and I got my settings how I wanted them, which was pretty much just an extension of the settings. I always had it on variable. I always had it on ray tracing. I pretty much always had it on prioritized graphics. So when they added the PSSR stuff, I just turned that on prioritized graphics. I'm sure the performance is even better. If I turn ray tracing off and prioritize performance on that game, I'm sure I can get a super high frame rate. I'm sure you could probably play that game at like 70, 80 frames a second, 60 to 80 frames. I'm sure it's amazing. If I'm hovering around, I got to be hovering around like 45, 50, maybe higher. I feel like I'm at 50 at least. And you'll see in the gameplay with these amazing, super clean graphical effects going on. It got me playing Dragon's Dogma 2 again. Just everything going on in the PS5 Pro update has me playing Dragon's Dogma 2 again. Not that much, but I am going to beat it before the end of the year. And Dragon's Dogma is a game that for some reason I feel like slow walking the dog, but like I said, I have to speak to the fact that it has a serious upgrade going on. And I was really glad that I already owned that game, because I was really worried, like, how many games am I going to have to buy to get to see like see something cool? I already had Dragon's Dogma 2. I already had Spider-Man 2. So those in and of themselves like would have carried me up until now for sure and beyond. With the in addition to Wukong, they would have carried me for sure. Lies of P I've got on my shelf waiting on me to install. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero I actually haven't played since I got my Pro. I know it has an enhancement, but I don't know how it looks. And then Alan Wake 2, I haven't got to that, and I know it has an enhancement. There are quite a few games on that list that I haven't really got to because I'm just stuck on the ones I'm playing now. Before I get to the next two PS5 games, I want to speak to the what's going on upgrade-wise with PS4 games. I have played two PS4 games like at least like 3 hours apiece on the PS5 Pro, and that is Far Cry 5, which I streamed that. Actually, my election night stream was from my PS5 Pro. I streamed that, and you can actually go take a look. You won't really be able to see much quality, but I don't have any just like hard recordings of Far Cry 5. But I played that in the Order 1886. In the Order 1886, I don't have any footage for it either. I've got some from the PlayStation app, so it's not going to look as clean as some of the other footage just far. But I can tell you that at the very least, the graphical horsepower that's added is going to boost PS4 games frame rate if it's unlocked, or if it's got something like that going on. The Order 1886, even though it's definitely a 30 FPS game, feels smoother. But the main thing for me is the images are super clean. They're not too sharp, but they're very clean. You can if you look hard enough, you can see what the AI is doing, because you can look towards the background and see some of the straight lines that might have a little bit of moire or whatever. There is a little bit of flickering when you get static somewhere and the AI is trying to upscale something from a very low resolution and doing its absolute best to clean it up and reconstruct it and make it look clean. But in motion, Even still, there's only a couple still scenes, but in motion, like playing the game, like it's like, okay, I can see the boost. I definitely saw the boost in Far Cry 5. It looks really sharp, and I know that got a PS4 Pro, Xbox One X update. So I'm curious as to how that update was applied, especially when bringing that to PS5, and like I'm curious as to how the PS5 responds to that update and what it does with it. But I can tell you the image is super clean, super clean. I feel like the newer, because the Order 1886 is a 2015 game. It's early 2015. I want to say it's February, somewhere around there. And I'll put an asterisk with the date. And probably if I'm playing real gameplay during this segment of the podcast, I'll let you know that it's recorded. Otherwise, it's probably the PlayStation app gameplay, which is just 1080p 60 and does not have the highest bit rate in the world. It's actually kind of poor. But dang, what was I saying? But yeah, the Order 1886 came out in February, so it like came out in the first year of the PS4. But I think those games that I haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2, but I have heard that it kind of brings it up to 4K. I don't know how true that is. That's like some Reddit stuff or whatever. But I feel like the newer your PS4 game, depending on the engine that it's built on, the more of a quality boost you're going to see. But it is there. It's nothing crazy, but it is there. It's definitely boosting your PS4 games more than a PS4 Pro would boost those games, if that makes sense. So, if that's something that's been a part of your consideration for, I feel like it's a bonus. It's not something they marketed super heavy. It is on the original blog reveal and like in all of the marketing materials of the PS5 Pro. But it's not something that they kind of stuck on because it's not that crazy. It's not a lot going. It's only so much you can do with an older game. They're not doing like Xbox. What they did with their backwards compatibility is kind of incredible. In taking older games, giving them HDR in some instances, bringing the resolution up to 4K. The Series X was already doing that with games like Red Dead Redemption and stuff like that. So, the original Red Dead. So, this isn't the killer part. This isn't the reason why people buy a PS5 Pro to upgrade their PS4 games, but it is happening. And some games respond to that AI upscaling better than others. Like the Order 1886, although it looks really good to me, it's my first time ever playing it, is not responding as well as Far Cry 5 is to the technology that is kind of doing its best to up-res it without making it look stupid. So just wanted to throw that out there. The PS4 game boost thing, it is real. It's real. And your mileage may vary on that. Moving right along. Before I get to Horizon, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Now I've had one of my best friends, B-Rob, on the pod before when we were talking about Dragon Ball, and he told you guys that's one of his favorite games of all time. And I've wanted to play this game for a long time. I played it for a little bit on Xbox Series X. It was gorgeous then in resolution mode. I know, I feel like sometimes performance issues are kind of overblown. And I feel like I receive it that way because if you watch enough content, sorry, I'm drinking Red Bull, obviously. If you watch enough content around a video game, especially around its like visuals and the graphical points of it, and then you go and play it, I feel like it does kind of taint your view of it one way or another, positive or negatively. So when you go and play it, like, I don't know, I feel like I wish I could have played that game like raw, you know what I mean? Like with no input, nobody's opinion on my brain when I started it. Because the game was lauded. I mean, it's a critically acclaimed video game, but it's just like, let's get performance issues. And I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is pretty good presentation. The PS5 Pro version of Jedi Survivor is ridiculous. It's one of those games where if it's locked at 30 FPS, it does not feel like 30 FPS. And it had that going on the base PS5. Just really good frame time, really good input response and all that kind of stuff. But I'm playing in quality mode still. I'm still not playing this game in performance mode. I started it over because I don't have a save on PlayStation. So I'm starting over from scratch. And you guys are seeing hard gameplay from my capture card. And Jedi Survivor, first of all, feels incredible. It is one of the, if you are an action adventure gamer type, this is one of the best. It is one of the best games you can play. And I really love it for what it is. But it is one of the best looking games I've ever played, seriously, especially this Pro update. The quality mode, resolution mode, you're getting native 4K, you're getting boosted ray tracing effects. It's supposed to be maxed out at 30 FPS, but it does not feel like it at all. And again, I don't know if it doesn't have any VRR settings in the settings menu, so I don't know if it's utilizing that technology or if it just has really good input response, but it doesn't feel like 30 FPS at all. It's the only game that feels like this to me. Performance mode, I play for that in a little bit, but I just like the quality mode is just too gorgeous. Like it's one of those games it doesn't have to be. It's not Call of Duty. I don't need this to be high frame rate. It's a cinematic adventure game, and I don't mind playing it at a cinematic frame rate. But it is a wonderful presentation. Those guys really did. And I mean, Respawn is one of my favorite developers anyway. Shout out to Titanfall 2. But Jedi Survivor really is one of the best games on console, period. And I had it originally through EA Play, but I made sure to buy myself a disc copy of this because it's the type of game that I would love to revisit over time. I haven't even got deep in the story, but like just the first area and then the first open area that you go to, like I've been having a wonderful time with this game. Next, second to last on my, third, I'm gonna get Call of Duty out the way. Call of Duty is nothing crazy going on in terms of an upgrade. The PS5 Pro upgrade landed. I can't really tell what's going on. Some people are saying that it's now, actually I can't, that's a lie. I can tell because again, typically I don't know. I don't know because now I know where to go look in my system to see what signal is being broadcast after I open a game. Sometimes it's 4K 60, sometimes it's 1080p 120. It depends. Call of Duty I know is doing a lot of 1080p 120. So I've heard that the the PS5 Pro upgrade brings it to 4K 120. I don't know. The ray tracing kind of stuck out to me. And I still have played nothing but multiplayer. So I don't even know. Sometimes the campaign looks a little bit better than the multiplayer. The multiplayer, this is the most gorgeous multiplayer somebody could play. And I'd be killing it. Number one, which is why I don't leave it. But the multiplayer is great. That one, gosh, I wish I could remember the name of the map. But it just has this, it's like a house or whatever. Like an estate that you're fighting on, but it's always happening at golden hour, and the ray tracing effects you can really see the ray tracing effects on that particular map. It's just a great game. It's just a well-performing game. This is the best Call of Duty they've made in a long time. Kind of surprised that I haven't given it like a significant segment on a podcast yet, but I don't know. I mean, it's fire. Shout out to them. They made a great game. The PS5 Pro upgrade, I guess, is there. Sometimes I don't know when I thought I could see it, but I don't. I'm not going to sit here and try and like. I can't say about Call of Duty what I've said about Spider-Man and Star Wars and Wukong and all that. I don't really see too much going on. Moving on. Stellar Blade. You know I had to talk about this one. You know I had to talk about Stellar Blade. First of all, we got that update coming next week, the Nier Automata Stellar Blade crossover update. We got a free update coming on the 20th with the photo mode and some new costumes, and then it's a paid update or some paid DLC items for the Nier Automata stuff. It still only looks like skins to me, and apparently you get the character from Nier has a shop in the game. So I hope this DLC better not be more than $10. It better not be more than 10. And I love Nier. I love Nier Automata. I got the Game of Yorha edition on my console right now. But this better not be more than $10 because he ain't giving us no story content. So, but I will say Stellar Blade is also one of the games that they should really be highlighting as far as like what the PS5 Pro can do. Now, Stellar Blade is a Unreal Engine 4 game. So it should be performing how I'm about to tell you it performs. But with that said, it is mopping the floor with some of these other games that are Unreal 5 or whatever else they may be. You've got two modes. You've got Pro and Pro Max. So Pro Max is a boosted balance mode, which was a combination of like resolution and performance. Like it has the highest quality. The Pro Max descriptor says it has the highest quality. And then Pro is resolution mode. The base console's resolution mode, just turned up, and so you get the highest frame rates off Pro. So I've played. Now recording this was kind of difficult. It wasn't difficult. Recording this, when I put it through the recorder, it's gonna max out at 60. So I didn't get to see the VRR above 60. So when I took it off and I just let it play as an HDMI 2.1 thing, because my recorder locks it at HDMI 2.0 basically. HDMI 2.1 allows you to have 4K 120 or an unlocked frame rate in that 120 hertz container. Pro is the way to play when I'm not recording. The recorded gameplay you're seeing now is Pro Max. So you're seeing the most effects, the most quality, but it is playing at 60 frames a second. Technically, it's 57 frames a second. For whatever reason, it's like 57, 58. And I'm seeing it on the LG counter. It says 57, 58 frames a second. I'm just going to say 60. I'm rounding it up to 60. We wouldn't be able to see the 3 frames anyway. But when you play in Pro mode and you're playing with an HDMI 2.1 Connect and you got that 120 hertz mode turned on, you're playing at like 1440p 120, not 120, like 80 frames a second. Like it's literally playing, like my TV literally tells me 80, 84, 87, 83. Like it's staying in the 80 to 87 range of frames. Sometimes you're getting up to 92, 99, 100, 102, depending on where you are. But it's at least 80. And they said they had a mode that was 80 plus. And I was like, I believe you guys, because shout out to y'all. I love you guys for what you gave us. But I wanted to see how it played out. And it felt like it's a tremendous, as somebody who played that game in performance mode originally, the extra 25, 30, 40 frames you're getting at any given moment, you can feel it. It feels super dope. Like it's like 1-to-1 input almost, no lag. That's the main thing. You almost can't see, like you can see the frame rate difference because 60 and 120 are 2 different frame rates for sure. But it's really the input speed that you notice first. Like Stellar Blade can be a deliberate game. It could be a game of patience, or if your offense is up enough, it can go as fast as you want it to go. Once you really learn how to move, you learn how to dodge, you learn how to parry. You never have to let up on your attack. And so it just looks fantastic. I don't know what else to say. Like it just looks fantastic. Again, you're seeing it in this 30 frames a second video. I'm going to slow it down in certain instances so you can really see how smooth the gameplay is. But it's a wonder to behold. Stellar Blade is one of the best games that have come out this year. I will continue to say that. It's one of the best games of 2024. I feel like people hate on it because of Eve, because of their issues with Eve and how she's represented or whatever. And I would be with you on that if they didn't, if it was in poor taste. And to me, Eve wasn't done in poor taste. That is one of the best games out. I know it's got a horrible English voiceover, and I've said that game really, that holds it back as far as actually being in the GOTY conversation, but it's in my GOTY conversation, and we'll get into that later in the year. Because I probably have 2 minimum, 3 maximum episodes left in me for this year. I know I'm gonna get to episode 10 before the end of 2024, but yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Last game of my PS5 Pro Deep Dive, and this is like, I never saw myself doing this. I never saw myself giving this game the kind of praise I'm about to give it. For a long time, I wondered why Horizon got like the hype because it's one of those games, like the way people feel about Avatar, right? Like people are like, how is Avatar a cultural phenomenon? Like, I don't know anybody who's watched it. I don't know how that's possible, because that movie makes $2.8 billion, however many billions of dollars the last one made. And like, You can feel it in the culture. Like you can talk to somebody who probably, people were coming up and talking to me because I know I'm, the film guy. They're coming talking to me. Yo, I saw Avatar. I actually went out of town to see Dolby Cinema or IMAX or whatever. Horizon was one of those games that has sold, apparently the series has sold like 30 million copies or something like that. Like that I just wasn't seeing that. That's a lot of copies. That's a lot of units shipped. And I just wasn't like, outside of my roommate from back in the day, her and her boyfriend were gamers and they were both like, I remember them being really adamant on me playing Horizon. And I just could not connect with it, mostly because I was connecting so deeply with Assassin's Creed Origins, and I could be biased because that game takes place in Egypt, but I was really connecting with that game on a personal level. So when I started playing Horizon, I was kind of like, ugh, I can't do this. And I feel like that's for obvious reasons. And Horizon doesn't do anything bad. It doesn't do anything disrespectful. It's just that it's like storytelling choices are just like, this is what y'all are doing. You know what I mean? Like, this is your main protagonist. Oh, this is the lore. This is why she is who she is. Like, it was just certain stuff. I was like, I'm not really down with that messaging, but I feel like I was making it too deep. I was probably just making it too deep. Maybe, and that's something I've been going through lately. Maybe I'm making it too deep. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's not that deep. Some things do be that deep, but I think Horizon is also just a genuinely great game. Not a genuinely good game. It is a great game. I find myself thinking about Horizon Zero Dawn often. It has one of the simplest but most effective gameplay loops I have ever experienced in an open world title. It's almost Far Cry like in how simple the gameplay loop is. Red Dead Redemption like in how simple the gameplay loop really is. Like, there are things that you can go and find. There are collectibles you can go search for. There are vistas you can go and find, little data points, whatever it is, this and that. You've got the tall necks that are like the mobile radio towers. You know what I'm saying? How you had the radio towers in Far Cry that open up the map. These are mobile versions of that. But it's done in a cool way. Like, it's a nice little traversal, not puzzle, but, it's not an obstacle. It's just a little bit of traversal you got to navigate. Then you got the ruins that you can go find. You know what I'm saying? These cauldrons that are like caves, metallic caves, robotic caves inside a mountain or whatever. Like, Horizon just has a really great sense of discovery. And I know it's always been a pretty game, but I have not played that game since base PS4. So I don't even remember what it looked like when it got that update for the PS5. But this remaster is amazing, and it looks as good as Forbidden West on the PS5, on the base PS5, because PS5 Pro Forbidden West is a different beast. Let me be very clear in saying that. Zero Dawn and Forbidden West are not in the same league, but Zero Dawn is now up here though. It's now in A tier in terms of graphics. It's above the 2018 God of War, the PS5 version of 2018 God of War. It's above that. It's not quite a Last of Us Part 1, because I feel like Last of Us Part 1, the PS5 version, is a S tier. Just graphically, it's an S tier game on PS5, especially now, going at 4K 60 now. But Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered is A+. Isn't in the A tier, it's on the plus side of the A tier for graphics. It's gorgeous. I was playing in resolution mode for the longest before I realized that Resolution Pro isn't really... I'm not seeing much of a difference in Resolution Pro and Performance Pro. As far as the base resolution goes, Performance Pro is definitely a higher frame rate, because Resolution Pro has that Star Wars Jedi Survivor thing going on where it kind of feels like 60 frames a second almost when you're playing in resolution mode. I know that I'm not, but it feels that way. And then you turn on performance mode, you're like, okay, I wasn't playing at 60. I was playing very close to 60. I will say Zero Dawn is higher performing in its resolution mode than Star Wars Jedi Survivor. But I did switch over to performance mode just because it felt like there was virtually no difference in the resolution. There may be lesser graphical effects or a closer draw distance or whatever. I cannot tell, and I be looking. And I'm telling you, I can't tell. So I've been playing in performance mode, and it doesn't feel off either. Like I don't feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm getting everything my eye needs to get for me to be okay. This is where I want to be, because I want to be able to see the effects. But if I can see all the effects and get a higher frame rate, I'll take it. But again, I already know Forbidden West, I know, has a great performance mode from what I hear, but I just have to play that game in quality mode because the amount of effects and just texturing and everything going on in Forbidden West is crazy. But Zero Dawn is dope, man. And it really is like, it's a peak PS4 game. This is a PS4 game that has been remastered for the PS5. And there are times that you can tell. There are times when you're talking to lesser characters getting ready for a mission, like side mission characters, and like sometimes the lips don't sync up properly how they're supposed to. And then there are times where you're seeing a cutscene that has been redone from the ground up. That's a part of the main story, or you're in conversation with a member of the main story, and like it's okay, yeah, there it is. There's that Last of Us quality in facial animation. And they've said they've re-recorded like 10 hours or so of dialogue and like those scenes or whatever. And I feel like that 10 hours was probably more for the main story that they redid and reanimated and recaptured versus some of the side stuff. I know that they've added dialogue as well. It's kind of hard to tell where they put some of this re-recorded or extra recordings in. But again, the difference in the remaster, not necessarily like it can be seen, but it's like, oh yeah, this is a PS4 game. Like when you're picking up a side mission, and the character is talking to you and their voice doesn't match, like their face doesn't match their lips. It's like, okay, yeah, this is a PS4 game that's been up-resed and turned on, like, you know what I mean? So I really love it. I'm enjoying the story. I actually really like Aloy. And I'm really glad I'm playing Zero Dawn instead of trying to continue on in Forbidden West, because I'm getting a lot more context. Because when you start Forbidden West, she's very standoffish. She's so determined. It's because she's done it that she just is like, I'm not trying to fool with trying to convince y'all to come and help me or none of that. This is what I'm on. This is what I'm about to go do. Y'all do what y'all do. And some of the characters like it, and some of the characters are like, yo, what's going on with you? And I like that dynamic. But I don't like starting with a character at that point in their arc. And this is very clearly supposed to be a trilogy, going to be a trilogy. So to start with her, to be playing Horizon and start with her as an outcast, going into someone that is uncovering their destiny in real time and reacting to it and finding their power in real time, and others around them reacting to it and stuff. Like I'm 8.5, 9 hours deep. So, I'm having a really great time with it. I can tell this was a labor of love for Guerrilla Games, and we are definitely never getting another Killzone game. Like they're all in on this, and they're talking about some multiplayer Horizon game. I'm not really interested in that. I'm locked in with Aloy. I'm not really interested in creating my Varl, you know. This game also, and I don't know how it was on PS4. Because I know part of the remaster, like part of the package, they tell you, in one of the pieces of marketing, they tell you how they kind of dig into the 3D audio. But this game's sound design is amazing. I love it. Because like the machines that you have to deal with and stuff, and like this is one of those games where I will probably play it. After I put like 20 or 30 hours into it, I'll probably be able to turn the entire HUD off outside of like a marker to tell me where to go for my next mission. But I'll be able to turn like the stealth notifications off. I've got the compass. I don't use the compass. I'll be able to turn my health bar off and all that other stuff, my supplies and all that other stuff, unless I'm bringing up the wheel, because the audio cues give you so much information. You can tell when a machine has seen you or is seeing you, and you are given enough time to react to it, to turn and be okay, I gotta duck, get out the way, whatever. You don't really need the stealth indicator to know that machine over there can see me or thinks it sees me or whatever, right? The dynamic music, I love. One of my favorite things about open world games is like just dynamic music. Spider-Man does it really well. The Witcher does it really well, but in a more understated type of way. Black Myth kind of does it. Stellar Blade does it really well. But just games that like ebb and flow with you as the player. When you're coming into a new area, the notes change a little bit. And Horizon does it in a way where it's a lot more seamless. Like Stellar Blade, once you leave the camp to go into the regular world, it's very jarring going from your campfire track to the track, the world, whatever the track is for the world. It's very like it's a jarring transition. Whereas you're coming out of a campfire in Horizon and you're just moving. And I got a steed, you know what I'm saying? Like I can hack into him and ride him wherever. I don't like even riding my little metallic horse. I really prefer to just walk and run everywhere. First of all, I'm a forager. I'm picking up all the red flowers for my health pouch. I'm picking up all of the fire spark and the whatever root and everything. I'm picking up everything that I possibly can so that I can up my pouches and carry even more. But it really is the most like beautiful way to experience the game, I feel like, to walk and run from objective to objective. And that's why I'm so like, I can tell like the music has been weaved into the world like so deliberately and so intricately that every like all the notes that you hear and the crescendos that you come to, and then like when it comes back down, it's all very natural. You come into some combat, you're in the thick of it. It's gonna naturally take you up there. It's gonna rise with your the tempo, and the volume of the music is going to rise as far as like how deep you are in the if you will, you know what I mean? So I really have to commend them for the sound design on this game and just taking advantage of Dolby Atmos and all that kind of stuff. Visuals are amazing, obviously, but it's really just Horizon has an amazing gameplay loop. Like it shouldn't take 8 hours. It should not take 8 hours for me to feel good playing. It shouldn't take more than that. It shouldn't take more than 3. Because from where I started, I was an hour and like 30 or 40 minutes into the game. So I had finished being a child and doing that child stuff and learning how to use my bow for the first time and blah, 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 blah. I pretty much where I left off was getting ready to do the proving, which the game doesn't open up until you do the proving. You know what I'm saying? And you go from being an outcast to a brave. And then the game opens up. You know what I'm saying? And the loop was going before I opened the game up. Like I was doing stuff before I did the proving and all that. And it's like, oh my God, wait, now I'm finna open up the game. And like, now I'm like, I'm in the desert part, not desert, but it's like canyon type area. And I had some trouble with this big ass hawk thing or whatever. But it's like, it's a fair grind. It's not really level gated so much as it is like, that big ass hawk in the air is stronger than you, and you need to go mess around over here, get a little more powerful, and you can come back over and like try to fight it again and get his resources. I'm excited for the mystery that I'm uncovering in Horizon Zero Dawn. I know a little bit about it because of the Eurogamer. Like before you play Forbidden West, they have a great story so far series for Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't remember it all. I know some of the stuff. Like I know who she is. I know who Nora is and all that kind of stuff. But like just the nuances of the story, I'm really enjoying experiencing because there's a lot of added context that you just can't put in a recap. And yeah, it's really great. Like if you've never played Horizon and you have a PlayStation, I feel like Horizon, it depends on what kind of player you are, but if you like action adventure, Horizon is much more of a must play than The Last of Us is sold to us as. Like The Last of Us is not, I don't know, maybe just not right now for me. It just doesn't feel like essential video game playing. Horizon does feel like, and Zero Dawn Remastered is the perfect opportunity for those of you who did not play on PS4 like I did, haven't engaged with the little update for PS5. This remaster is the best way to engage with this game. I will give you some free game. The Zero Dawn Complete Edition on PS4 is less than $20 at GameStop. And when you put that PS4 disc, that entire Complete Edition is on one disc, by the way. When you put that PS4 disc into your PS5, it will install as Zero Dawn Complete Edition for PS4. And all you have to do is pay $10 to upgrade it to the PS5 or PS5, the remaster version. Just $10. So you've essentially come out to $29.99 before tax. I'm pretty sure it's like $17 or $19.99, the Zero Dawn Complete Edition, pre-owned. So free game. You can save $20 by getting a pre-owned copy of it on PS4, Complete Edition. You can pay for a remaster upgrade on the base version of Zero Dawn. I just don't know if it's going to add that Complete Edition content. But you can get the Complete Edition, upgrade it for $10, and still come out to $20 less than it is. I got this for $49.99. I just didn't mind it, and I like having the cover case too. But yeah, play the remaster if you have not. This is an essential. This is, PlayStation got the PlayStation Essentials. This is an essential PlayStation game. I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but it is definitely an essential PlayStation title. So check it out. Just really relaxing. Just a wonderful world to go through. You can go through as fast or as slow as you want to, and I really like that. Like, it's not forcing you to slow down, like kind of how Dragon's Dogma does. It doesn't force you to go fast, kind of how like Cyberpunk encourages you to. Like, it really is like a take this journey at your own pace, because she's on a journey. There's nothing crazy going on. Like, she's clearing out monsters, but there's nothing threatening the world right now. So it feels like a journey as a character, and I really love it, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I'm a believer now, and I'm really hyped to play through this and then get back to Forbidden West, because that came with my PS5 base console that I bought in 2022. So I'm really excited to get to Forbidden West with this added context. I'm not going to start that game over. I'm going to pick up where I left off, so like at the 7.5 hour mark. I haven't really done much. I just opened up the gate to the Forbidden West, I'm pretty sure. I think. Yeah. I'm just now in the Forbidden West, so I ain't really done nothing crazy. So yeah, RIP Lance Reddick, bro. I haven't seen him yet in Zero Dawn Remastered, but I know when I do finally see him in this game, it's gonna make me a little emotional. It's one of my favorite actors. For those of you who don't know, that's the gentleman from Fringe, The Wire, John Wick, the gunsmith in John Wick. He's got a pretty significant role in the Horizon games, and he passed away last year, so looking forward to it, but I'm not looking forward to it. So, yeah. That's my deep dive on the PS5 Pro. I highly recommend it if you are a 4K HDR high frame rate type of person. If you value those things, you will get a significant return on your investment into the PS5 Pro, especially if God of War Ragnarok, I didn't even talk about. I've only played it for like 40 minutes, an hour on PS5 Pro, is another game with an incredible upgrade that has upgrades that aren't in the current PC version. The PS5 Pro is really making it hard for me personally to justify investing the amount of money I would have to invest in. I would have to put forth to get into PC gaming. I'm not getting some pre-built $1,500 system. I need the max, simply because I make videos. Like, I need the max. I need a top 3, top 5 processor. I need a top 2 graphics card. I need at least 64. I got 32. I'm working with 32 gigs of RAM on here. I would want like 64 if I got a PC. So I would have to spend like $3,500 at least. And that's before a monitor. And I would definitely downsize on my TV if I got a PC. I would get like one of Alienware's like curved OLED monitors or something. I think they got a curved 4K resolution monitor. But yeah, the PS5 Pro for $699, like there's a conversation to be had. There's a conversation to be had about its value. About staying on console versus going to PC. They've made the conversation more difficult. The PC master race gets quieter as time goes on, I feel like. And it takes companies innovating and investing in new technologies to kind of accelerate the industry and push it forward. Word on the street is that 5090 or whatever, the 500, the 50 series RTX cards that are going to come out are going to be ridiculously priced. You know what I'm saying? But if the technology is there, then it may be worth it. We'll see how that goes. But Right now, the PS5 Pro is a good reason to stay in the living room versus building an office, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, a couple there. I feel like there were some things on my mind. Since I last talked with you guys, talked about South of Midnight. Um, we'll talk more about the Xbox situation, I think, on the next podcast, because we're gonna do some Game of the Year, not necessarily like talk, but there's some things going on right now in real time with Game of the Year nominations that I want to talk about at length, most notably including DLCs in the Game of the Year shortlist. A lot of people feel very strongly about that, myself included. I won't get into it here, but I want to talk about that in Xbox next episode. Especially with Indiana Stalker 2 coming out soon, or next week, and then Indiana Jones coming out in December. It's an interesting time for Xbox, especially the success they found with Black Ops 6, which interestingly enough does not have Activision on the front here. I just realized that. Because it's an Xbox game and has given them great success via Game Pass. So there's a lot to talk about there. The end, like that, we talk about the definition of ownership changing in real time. The definition of success is changing right now in real time. And Xbox has been speaking very confidently, especially that last interview that Phil Spencer did with Bloomberg. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to read the whole thing because you got to pay for Bloomberg access, but I think I will give them like the $1 or whatever to sign up because I want to read that. Because some of the excerpts I've been seeing have been very interesting. So we'll get into that next episode. But going forth, this podcast, because just so I can be more consistent with it, because like it's kind of hard for me to really dig into the news of the industry at the pace at which they, other publications choose to break down the news. And I'm not really a news breaking down channel so much as I am like the experience of gaming. So I really am thinking about pivoting towards making this just a gameplay podcast and digging into what I've been playing week to week, talking about it, showing you gameplay. And then again, news that sticks out to me or news that I feel is relevant to me and to you all, or that is just worth talking about, I will also talk about as well. But just to keep the podcast consistent, this may just become a gameplay podcast. So yeah, if you guys like what you've been watching and listening to, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate all your views, though. Thus far, I appreciate all your support. Some of the messages that I get behind the podcast, people sharing it or whatever. I appreciate you guys' support, man. Just continue to rock with me as I continue to try to get better at this format, this type of content. And I want to deliver you the best of my ability every time. That's why I'd be knowing my PS5 Pro Deep Dive. This episode was supposed to have been recorded like 3 or 4 days ago, but I don't want to give you another sleepy recording. I don't want to give you just a half-assed version. Like once I figure out my outline, I do like to meditate on it a little bit. So I'm glad you guys have been rocking out with me, and I just hope and I pray and I manifest a wonderful time for you guys. If you've watched this video, if you've made it to the end, may your week be blessed wherever you are finding this video. If you're finding it at the time of its publishing on Sunday, or if you're rocking out with me sometime through the week, you know what I'm saying? I just want you to know that I really appreciate you. And yeah, y'all take care. Play some games. Let me know what you're playing. And you know what I'm saying? Y'all maintain peace. Spread peace and spread some positivity in the world, because we need it right now. And with that said, I will join you guys again soon. Y'all take care.